I'm gonna tell you how to buy an insanely cheap used car in the UK. Well, I live in London, and by all standards, London has one of the best public transport system in the world. But then why do you need a used car at all? First, these daily chores sometimes becomes a challenge for all of us, right? Grocery shopping, taking the kids to school, going out on a party or something like that. I think it's always a challenge if you don't have a car for yourself, and sometimes public transport just doesn't work, and especially when the weather is not with you. Literally, it makes you cry, isn't it? Naturally, this looks like your best bet. But then, how do you go about buying a used car when you have so many options to choose from? Where do you start? Let me take you down that road. First thing is to have definitely a budget for yourself. Uh, Budget, like, I mean, I live on a literally I live on a shoestring. I probably can't afford 4K, 5K, but is this something that I can afford? I asked my wife, is this something that we can afford as a family? And the answer was a resounding yes. So with 1000 GBP as the target price, what I did is Uncle Google, just type used car London, and I got to see a bunch of websites listing thousands of used cars across the UK. And what I did is I just picked a random listing from Google. I went to RAC Cars to be precise. Now, this is not sponsored by RAC Cars by any means. I just happened to click on RAC Cars, and when I went there, I typed the postcode where I want to zero in on my search, selected a distance of within 10 miles so that it will show me all the cars that are available in the 10-mile radius from that location. And because the budget was my only constraint, I selected a minimum price of £500 and a maximum of £1,000 because that was my last budget. I didn't really care about the make and the model because all I needed was a cheap, usable car, which is perhaps affordable on my wallet. Let's see. As I entered my search, I got a list of all these cars, and I selected the Hyundai i30, which is a 1.4 liter Euro 5 door engine. It's 2011 model, and it comes at a price of £949, which is well within my budget. But what do you do after you have your listing on the site? Well, the first thing to do is to check whether the vehicle has a valid MOT or not, and also you need to check the taxation status of the vehicle. Well, there are a number of other cars as well on the search, but I selected this i30 because it's 2011 model, which means it's ULEZ compliant. If you look at the others, the 2003 model, 2005 model is a diesel one, and there's also a Ford Focus, which is diesel. I personally don't prefer diesel vehicles when it's in the used car segment because you know the diesel engine gives you problem after many years of use. However, petrol vehicles are a little more reliable if in the used car segment. That's why I selected this Hyundai i30. I look at the details of the vehicle, the descriptions which is given here, the facts and figures like insurance group 1.4, 2 previous owners, ULEZ compliant, like I mentioned previously, registered in September 2011, 16-inch alloy wheels, so on and so forth. Looks like a pretty decent car from the pictures. at 9:49. Now for MOT check, what I did is head over to the rear side picture of the vehicle and make a note of the vehicle registration number, and then I head over to the MOT status website run by the government, the gov.uk website, where you can check the MOT status of a vehicle. And I looked up really Google for this again, and I just selected the second link over here where you can check the MOT status. There's another link where you can check the MOT history of a vehicle. We'll come to that part a little later. So once we head over to the gov.uk site, you check the MOT status, you click the Start Now button, you enter the vehicle number. For data privacy reasons, I'm not entering the vehicle number here, but once you enter the vehicle number and click Continue, you'll see the MOT status. It says that the MOT expires on 7 June 2024, which gives you a long MOT period. Like we're in October, so you still have around 10 months to drive the vehicle without having to do an MOT test. This vehicle is not taxed, so you of course have to pay the tax once you buy it. So I'm planning to pay the taxes if I buy this vehicle. So once you know that the MOT status is valid, you scroll down to the page, and on the right hand side you have a link where you can check the MOT history of the vehicle. So the MOT history of the vehicle will give you a list of issues that this vehicle might have come across in the course of its ownership journey. And I go to the MOT history of the vehicle site, I enter the vehicle number, click Continue, and it lists down the MOT history of the vehicle literally from the beginning of the date of registration till the current date. And if you look at this, it has passed the MOT test on 1st June. Well, it had failed on the same date once, but then perhaps some repairs had been done. So right now it is roadworthy. It does pass the basic MOT. And if you look at the history of the MOT, like on 1 June 2022, there were minor advisories. For instance, the offside rear nail tire, there's a nail in the tire, the front brake disc was worn but not excessively, near side front tires are worn close to legal limits. So those are some things that you need to look into without necessarily having to attend to immediately. And then you can always continue looking up the entire MOT history, but what I did is I checked the failed status on 1st June 2023. I wanted to know why did this fail the MOT, and when I clicked the defects and advisories, I found that the near side rear leaf spring saddle was fractured, and there was a minor advisory about having a nail on the tire. So apparently I think the leaf spring issue, saddle issue, was resolved, and that's the reason why when it was taken for a retest it would have passed the MOT. If you look at it, on 1 June 2022 there were other advisories around the worn out brakes which had been taken care of. By the way, the mileage of this vehicle, sorry, I forgot to mention about the mileage. It's 90,335 miles, which is quite decent. In 2019, at 59,832 miles, the vehicle had failed MOT, and it had a major failure with dangerous defects like the near side rear brake pad was less than 1.5 mm thick. And I'm pretty sure this was resolved because we are in 2023 now. So we have a new rear brake pad, we have proper brake discs as well. So I consider this vehicle as safe as of today, and the verdict is I'm going to shortlist this for a real test drive or a road test. But then I don't want to go with only one vehicle. I also found another one, a Ford Focus, which had an insanely low price of £500, 2007 model, two-door, petrol version. Well, when I checked the MOT status of this vehicle as well, I found that this MOT is valid till 13th October 2023, which is like just a few days after, and I'll have to retake this vehicle for another MOT if I purchase this vehicle today or tomorrow. But let's check the MOT history of this vehicle, if this is roadworthy at all. And amazingly, it has passed the last 3 MOTs consecutively, and there were very minor advisories in terms of what you need to do in terms of taking care of the vehicle, like checking the worn out tires, defective rear exhaust mounting, corrosion in the coil spring. The corrosion in the coil spring is not a major defect, which can be eventually taken care of. So, and by the way, the mileage of this vehicle is just around 70,000 miles, which is really low, and I'm actually tempted to go for this vehicle because it comes within my range, well within my range at 500 pounds, which is really insane. If you look at the 2020 MOT, it says the underbody was corroded, but I'm sure it has been repainted and redone, so there aren't any issues as such as of 2022. But you never know what issues will come up in the 2023 MOT. But for now, this is fine because for the last 3 years it has passed the MOT. There are a couple of failed MOTs as well in 2020. For instance, the front suspension arm pin or bush excessively worn out, the rear number plate was damaged, the underbody was corroded, and then again in 2018 the front inner tire had a tear which caused by a separation or partial failure of its structure. So I think this had been fixed because you can't drive this vehicle until the dangerous defects that are being pointed out are fixed, and the vehicle, you do a retest, and then the vehicle passes the MOT eventually. So my hunch is that this is a safe vehicle to drive on the road at 500 pounds. But one criteria that I had was this is a 2-door vehicle, and the first one was a 5-door vehicle. So between the 2-door and the 5-door, and of course one is a Hyundai, another one is a Ford, and there is a major price difference, almost 449 pounds. But then which one do I select? And the winner is Hyundai, because it's a 5-door vehicle. I thought it's going to have more utility, considering that I have children at home and who need to ride the vehicle along with me or along with the family. So with a 2-door vehicle, I think it gets a little difficult and unsafe for people sitting at the rear side of the vehicle to come out in time of an emergency. That's why I went for the 5-door one, which precisely is, to me at least, is more utilitarian. However, had my budget been under 800 or let's say 700, I would have definitely gone for the Ford Focus or the Ford one because of the price that it comes to. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching.